my gender to some degree, my sexual orientation. I don't really know when I reached a stage of my life where I thought it's okay to make choices. Because I do think underneath changes in career or changes in job, I don't know that was really all about, I'm an adult now, I'm a big boy and I'm going to make this decision. I mean, I know I have left jobs where I've just said, screw this.
Yeah, I need this.
I'm not doing this. I mean, my relationship with a youth mentoring organization in the region, that partnership ended for reasons that I will never, ever understand. That being said, I spent 5 years as the managing director for a youth mentoring organization that I still have a relationship with. That was very, very successful and allowed me to do incredibly important work.
Yep.
But then moving to a similar environment, my being me was not as well received. That was so politically correct.
Really?
In saying that.
Yeah, I was going to say
whereas, in one situation you're celebrated, in another, not so much. So, I mean,
right.
This has been for me. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that somewhere in between? I don't.
Well, that's your version of the ups and downs of life, I guess.
Yeah, and to me, those aren't the ups and downs of life. That's just life.
Yeah, life. Yeah.
It's what do you do to survive? I mean, my husband is very, very different from me, and when I met him, he was 21 years with Club Med.
Oh, really?
Because he too was raised at a time where you found a job, you got it, you liked it. Well, he happened to love working for Club Med and working in travel.
I love working with Club Med.
Yeah, so, but he had the security of parents and the normal family. My God.
Yeah.
Let's compare to mine.
Yeah.
Let's.
Yeah, hey, listen, you're preaching to the choir, buddy.
Yes. So, if I didn't have food to eat, I didn't have food to eat.
Yeah.
Then, unfortunately...
So, what my thing is? I can never... my brother, he's probably got $1 million in the bank, owns his house, owns his cars, and he's still doing this with the calculator to see if he can get one more... He's 75, and he's still seeing if he can get one more job in to get a little more money in to run out the clock. I mean...
Yeah, no.
And so... And a few years ago, in recent years, every once in a while, I get thinking maybe I should be doing the same thing, put salt money away for, and as soon as I start doing it, I start feeling like a slave, and I just go and waste some more money because that's my favorite thing to do is waste money, right? Yeah. So
I've never had any,
so
I don't really.
Nothing substantial by any means, and with your IQ or with my IQ, we should be millionaires.
Well, I remember my grade 3 teacher for Abernathy saying to my mother, Mrs. Peckford, if he would only apply himself, he would be...
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know until you wake up one day.
So, have you figured out what you're going to do about the fact that you and your husband are going to have to put up with each other all the time?
No. Well, actually, yes, to some degree. I mean, I'm leaving here at the end of October.
Right.
I'm doing the final season for me of Georgina Life. I'm saying final season right now. I don't know, but my intention is to take a year to transition,
To whatever.
or more to whatever. We have this little apartment in Toronto. My mother-in-law is still alive and in long-term care in Etobicoke, so we don't want to walk away from that. So the plan now is I will do Georgina Life Mondays and Wednesdays, so I will come back from Niagara Sunday.
Right.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll go home Thursday, so really I'll only spend 2 or 3 days with him until such time as he retires, which will be the end of December, and then it will just unfold as it unfolds, because I'll still have the whole season to finish off.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't, again, no one really knows anything about my 33 years with Zenon other than what I've chosen to share.
You've been there 33 years, so that's a good start right
Yes.
there. That tells you that,
So, for people who have met him, they always say to me, that's not who I thought you would be with because you are so different.
Right.
I think what I said when I was asked about retirement, first of all, what are you going to do? Which is, how do you know what you're going to do?
Until you get there.
I did what you just did with this. I went, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to make money.
Like
I've
last
got to
year
work.
you were really going
Oh my
for
God.
that.
It's like, oh, how much? Because I do side gigs that pay me
Sure.
a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah.
Because I do have some degrees that should pay me a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And then I went, whoa, this is crazy. But I did. One of the things I did say is this perhaps it's an opportunity for Zen and I to get to know one another again, because our lives have been about surviving.
Right.
Buying the first house when you couldn't afford to do it, and then
Yeah.
buying the second one when you thought you could, and it was just that.
Yeah.
And career choices. The bottom fell out of travel, so he found himself getting laid off every 5 minutes. So our lives have just been a whirlwind.
His business must have been horrendous in the last.
Well, I mean,
Non-existent almost, except for how you survive.
Yeah, I mean, every job after Club Med, I guess, ended in offices closing down,
Yeah.
Conquest Vacations going completely out of business, them walking in and finding the doors locked.
Wow.
So, again, perception. People would look at me and automatically assume that my life is something
Rosy.
that is so freaking well isn't. It is not.
You have no. I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember, and it's funny because when I was 25 and I built my first 3 houses in '83, and then I built about 10 or 20 or 12 in '84, and what I found was, and then after that I got into a rough spot because of the economy had dropped and so on. I got really jammed up, and when you're flying, everybody's going, the young guy, he's at it, he's a real go-getter. I always knew he was, whatever. And then when you hit and you do this, the same group of, I knew it, the same group of people, I knew he was going to, like, nothing anybody thinks or says means anything. Like, it's whatever you're going through yourself.
Yeah,
Nobody knows. People's perception of who you are and where you're at are just...
Well, and I have to admit that people's perception of who and what I am is based on what I've chosen to share with them, too.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm a chameleon, again, that's out of a sense of survival.
Yeah.
You are whoever you have to be in order to survive. I began to believe that I was this chameleon. So in terms of the negative thoughts that I had about myself and what I was presenting, what am I doing? Because, you need to be this over here so you get that approval. You need to be this over here so you are successful in your career. And then you need to be this individual over here because you have a personal life that looks very different than the other two. So, I mean, I'm just a freaking contradiction, I think.
Well, to get a real good opinion of, like, myself personally and my evolution, you'd have to talk to my 6 wives. I say that jokingly, but I don't, like, for me in the last 2 years, for some reason, like, I've had a really good life. I've always I raised a stepdaughter that she turned 16 5 years ago when I finished with her mom, and I spent 10 years there. Among 10 of the best years of my life. Same as raising my first 2 kids. Something for me about raising a child, there's a responsibility to it. Taking responsibility for it, doing it properly, and doing a good job of it. And she's killing it now. I mean, she's doing well now, and so I'm. So those times in my life were easy because when you have kids, you have to do whatever you have to do, and maintain a household and do all that proper stuff. So the last 5 years I've been on my own. First time in my life where I've actually been totally on my own when I'm in Canada, my wife in Cuba and our daughter's there and my granddaughter there. I love it there because when I'm there, I have 30 family members coming and going out of our house every day.
It's very different.
Yeah,
Very different world.
I've really come to a really comfortable understanding in the last 5 years of who I am, that I'm basically a decent person. Any doubts I ever had are totally done. I don't have to worry about the future because I'll take care of it like I always have. And whatever comes is going to come, and I'll deal with it. And I'm not going to come grinding to a halt in December when I turn 65. I'll be building a couple of houses a year for the next 5 years, whatever it takes to get the job done, and till but I really have gotten into a comfortable, not worry about it, no insecurities about it.
Oh my God, I will always be a huge ball of insecurities. I always will be. I mean, the reality is you can't do what I've been doing for as many years as I have.
No.
And not have learned a couple of things. So, when people have said to me, what's your legacy? I joke because I don't think I've got a legacy. But I have had individuals who I do respect say to me, you've got to start to realign your thinking around that.
Right.
You have been, I say I've been blessed to have done amazing work, which I have been.
Right.
But I cannot have had that positive impact on as many people and organizations that I found myself involved without saying, oh no, there isn't a legacy, there isn't anything to leave behind. But that's just so icky to me.
Can I look at that a little bit? I'll tell you why. So, your Harbourfront days and your entire adult life.
Yes.
You've been involved in one way or another in volunteering, support networks for adult life training, child support of youth. And so how many people over the course of that, your entire period, do you think you may have been involved with?
Thousands.
Right. How many people?
Thousands, because I've stood in front of audiences in auditoriums of 300 people and spoken and went, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, I can tell you categorically from my own personal experience in terms of your influence, and I come to trust it incredibly. Like I feel incredibly safe around you as far as being whoever I am. I can expose I feel like around you, whoever I am can be there, and even if you don't agree with whoever it is, you would tell me, I wouldn't do that if I were you, but it's up to you. Well, so I may
have over social media.
Yeah, actually, you have straightened.
Tim, you need to shut up now.
Yeah, actually,
but
you know what I'm saying. So that you're positive. You have a vast positive footprint.
Yes.
On the planet.
Yes,
more so than a guy that's been going from work every day for the last 40 years. That's been his job. Wonderful, good for him. But I'm just saying, you're in your chosen path in life.
It's just been such a
and
interesting.
Yeah, you cared to do what you cared to do, and it's very worthwhile. And there is a big footprint left behind you.
Yes, and I will not disagree with that, but I think I have to go back and just be truly 100%. I was just so broken and just such a
you know what? There's so much empathy that comes out of that brokenness.
Yes, it's so true, Tim.
That anybody in any situation, anybody within 100 yards of you that was hurt or in any way, you would take the time to say, relax, take our time, chill out, we'll get to it. So for now, you're fine. You know the drill.
Yes, and then I would say, but listen, this is about me now.
Yeah, well,
which is just
fair is fair.
Who I am too. But and I don't want to downplay.
And I don't agree with that either.
Well,
your motivation was never in all of that.
No, it wasn't.
But you know what? What? No. See, there it is again.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. No. But I have that same thing where I'll do a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's the right thing to do for whatever my reasons are, my motivations are. and somehow I'll think there must have been an angle to it. And that's twisting my own self up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I do, because there's a whole bunch of reasons about
there is
that.
insecurities and all the rest of it. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
diminish yourself. I don't
Yeah.
diminish myself
Yeah.
anymore. I don't doubt my motives. I know that I do things however I do them
Yeah.
because I like doing them.
Yeah.
I like, doing whatever I do, and I believe that I'm a decent person
Yes.
who can be an idiot at times,
Well-
can overstep his bounds at times, and when I do, I try to recognize it and make amends where it's required, properly required. Yeah, I mean, but I am a decent person. I have no qualms about it, and so are you. And there's no motive behind you how you've helped anybody.
No.
No.
No,
So you're
I think
right.
I think, yeah, because I don't even have an ego. People talk about ego.
No motive behind anything.
No, I
you've
think
ever
when
tried.
I think when I found my, when I found what, when I woke up and realized, oh my God, people actually want to hear what you have to say, and it does go beyond the fact that you're incredibly entertaining and funny.
Yeah.
It really was an awakening for me. I don't want to say reawakening, because I don't know that I was really ever in tune with myself, because I was so busy trying to support others.
Right.
Because it was the right thing to do.
Sure, you do.
It's,
you're
again,
living
goes back
a
to that
normal
whole
life for-
childhood.
Yeah, where you were growing up.
Yeah, it's like why would you not if you could?
Yeah.
I do think as I became more educated in
Yeah.
terms of the pieces of paper, then certainly how I approached support of individuals who I could looked a little different. Because not only did I have that life experience, I did have some context in terms of the studies that I've done, but I do think, and you would probably agree with me, that it really is your life experience that
100%.
motivates you to.
You know what another element of that is, and that is being environmentally driven, hyper aware of the environment around you, and so it makes you hyper aware of what people are going through and stuff.
Yes.
And that again comes from a need that you had in growing up that you don't necessarily need it anymore, but you have it.
Yep.
And then so with that and the empathy, I mean it makes all I care, Grant, is I just want to be really clear. You do not get to say there was never an angle to anything good you ever did. And you are entertaining. You are. Yeah.
I'm the first one to tell
Yeah.
you that.
Well,
But I'm not that
your
shallow.
success was not a sham. It's because you were a decent, hardworking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You tell me. I just noticed that in your follow up to everything, which is good that you did, you'll discount it somehow with a.
But that's the way that I was raised. You don't
Right.
ever bring attention to yourself because you're just doing the right
You
thing.
never bring attention to yourself.
Well, no,
Okay. Sorry.
in terms of the work
No, I
that
understand.
I do, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I've had, when we had the AGM a few weeks ago, and it was virtual, and Margaret, the mayor,
Yep.
sent her notes, and Councillor Neeson sent his notes because there was a town council
Sure.
meeting. And I obviously didn't read what they were saying about me because I thought that's really arrogant.
Right.
And our board chair also acknowledged the good work that I've done in the time that I've been here. It's like you're sitting in a pool of water hearing someone talk about someone else, and it just becomes all of this. But then, of course, when I left and I'm driving home and I'm thinking about, when I first met the mayor and the conversations we've had,
Right.
and how I think we like each other as people. Dave Neeson, God love him, has been a huge
Oh, yeah,
supporter
you know
of
what?
mine
For me-
forever.
Margaret Quirk is a really decent person.
Yes.
I have no qualms about any of that. I just disagree with her management style, and that's the way that she runs a corporation. I disagree
Yes.
with. That's all
Yeah.
this is about, and beyond that, and I would never say that she's not an incredibly decent person, and so I'm careful about how I do that. And Dave, he's been a friend for a long time. he will have my vote forever, simply for what he did for the forest. Because he stepped up at a time where there was a real good chance in a very short order it could have gotten destroyed. And because of the impediment he put there, it gave the time that was required to save it. And I believe that between him and Jack Gibbons, good guy, I owe him a cherry cheesecake too. He was up north, so I didn't get a chance to drop it off. So, yeah.
I mean, you surround yourself, as we grow older, you learn to surround yourself with the people that you should. I mean,
Your committee.
I've been, sat at tables with politicians and television stars and movie stars over the years, and people in theater, and these people are around me, hence I should keep my hands in my pocket instead of doing this. But, all of that aside, I truly believe we land where we need to land. So, where was the first place I landed that I was the right fit? To some degree, it was Harbourfront Centre.
Yeah.
And then it was a youth mentoring organization, Youth Assisting Youth, where the CEO, Sally Spencer, allowed me to be who I am, and embraced that in spite of perhaps criticism that may have come. So again, that takes me back to my 40s. So,
Flies, doesn't it?
But, well, my real journey of life, I don't think, or my positive journey of life, let's put it that way, really began in my 40s.
Yeah,
where I'd actually had some positive life experience to kind of offset some of the horror.
Mine began at 35 when I went to my last third treatment center in a year.
Yeah.
Ended up Tijuana, Mexico was the third treatment center of all places to get straight was Tijuana,
I won't
Mexico.
tell you what I was doing in Tijuana, Mexico.
Well, I won't tell you what I was doing in previous visits to Tijuana, but I got straight there and I came back and I couldn't stay in Keswick. I knew it. And oddly enough, I don't know why I made this decision, but I went right to Toronto, stayed at Madison, on Madison. There was a house for men, and I stayed there. 17 people in the house, and I spent 2 years. And I knew I was going to be useless until I sorted myself out. So I spent 2 years doing volunteer work, going to meetings every day. It was like a beautiful ride, just because I was just immersed in gonna find out what the hell's going on here, and it was really neat. I was all over Toronto. I served meals at the Scott Mission, and at the end of every night I was with the newcomers in the groups,
which is a whole other
the coffee shops
experience.
But it was just a wonderful environment for me to do the work I needed to do at the time, to do with my abuse and all that stuff. So.
And that doesn't happen until you're ready for it to happen.
Of course.
Until you actually are open to letting that.
I don't know what happened to me, but I don't know what happened because I did 3 treatment centers. But when I went to that treatment center, when I went through those doors, if they told me, go up on the roof and stand on your head, I'd have been up there for 2 weeks until they come and got me, if that's what it took. Like, for some reason.
And you're ready.
And I believed everything. Everything in that big book, it's right. So if I disagree with it, don't look at the book, look at me. Why do I disagree like that? And for some reason, I don't know what it was. To this day, I can't even think about it without getting emotional because something turned really heavily for me. I just woke up or something, and I was a different person.
Well, I think it's, I've always said, and I'm going to use smoking, no one quits smoking one moment before they're ready to quit. And when they quit, they quit.
They're going to drop a carton in my grave, I'm sure.
It's not a matter of, I'm going to quit for 6 months and then they start again. I do think, for me, I just got so incredibly drunk.
Yeah.
And spent the entire night in the bathroom. That was it for me.
Yeah.
So, because I've never done anything the easy way,
Of course.
perhaps that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, again, going back to you land where you land. I think, and this is a life skills coach in me, until you are open to receiving, you don't get. I truly, truly believe that. It's also why I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. Say to people, stop. Nothing is going to change. So until you're ready for change. So, I do think you just get there when you get there. And there's no time limit or time frame. because if you're not ready, then you're completely wasting your time. And I've got to get you to turn this camera off because I've got to go to the little boy's room.
Well, you know what? Just go.
Good.
I'll just let it run.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That last sip of tea.
Yeah, there you go. Take your time. I didn't know anybody else was going to be here, or I would have brought you a Scotch egg. I want to check something here. Oh yeah, so they're both still running perfectly. Yeah. Well, you know what?
Only Grant would say, stop the camera, I have to go to the little boy's room, which is
Yeah.
so mature of a 65-year-old man. I could have said,
Of course.
excuse me, Tim, I need to use the restroom, but why would I?
Because you've been a little boy all your life.
What, what I did, as I was in the men's room,
Yeah.
and I started just thinking about what you've been saying and how this whole thing came about in the conversation a couple of months ago. And I just realized if I had to be really positive and compliment myself, I think the one thing that I'm so very proud of in all of the work that I've done,
Yeah.
and socially as well, for whatever reason, somebody, something, some being has allowed me to be the voice for individuals who don't have one, and secondly, and or have allowed me to support those individuals in finding their voice. So if I look at 50 years of working, cut everything else, never mind, what money I've brought in for the organization I've worked for, changes I've made. That's work. That's what I'm paid to do.
Right.
And I think that's where I get confused when I try and define what it is I've done and what my career looks like.
Contribution.
That's my contribution. That I will have someone who will sit across the room from me and say, I feel safe when I'm sitting here with you. I can be myself.
Yeah.
I can share with you. I mean, I think...
Well, you can't imagine that when you look back over your career, and especially with the industry, because you're immersed in the industry itself of self-help.
Yes, very definitely. No matter what I did, there was always that element.
You can't imagine how many people that were around you that found themselves, found who they were, because they could be comfortable being who they were around you long enough to do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I mean...
And I can't disagree, and we lost the little one here.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
okay.
that really matters.
Not really.
And I mean, I will say, and I have a colleague to my left here who was concerned about making noise. And, when I think about some of the conversations that I've been blessed to be part of, and I won't give the details of the conversations that Leslie and I have had over the time that we've worked together, but, it amazes me because I've never trusted anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that I
Kindred
trust
spirits.
anybody yet.
Yeah.
But, that you instill that sense of trust that someone will share things with you, and oftentimes, and I'm not making reference to my colleague on the other side of the glass, but some of the most horrific, and how you define horrific is
everybody
up
has
to
a
the
definition.
individual, is comfortable sharing that with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is because you have a sympathetic or empathetic ear, or that they actually are looking to you to somehow find some words that will allow it to make sense to them. So again, for someone who presents as so self-centered, selfish, and self-involved,
anything but.
that is so not
Who you
me
are.
at my core.
No. It's a facade.
To some
Tools.
degrees.
Tools.
Don't you be crying.
Tools of the trade.
Well, they are tools of the trade, because you can't get caught up in that, or you don't have perspective.
No.
So for me, if I allow myself to get emotional, it's because something that person has said to me resonates with something that happened in my own life. So, yeah, I mean, it's, when I say I'm a contradiction, I am in some respects, but I just think if there was anything I wanted to come from this conversation, it would be that I recognize my value to the world, if you will, which is kind of broad.
Incredibly positive footprint is what I would say.
Yeah. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's not, yes, I've been the executive director for Big Brothers Big Sisters of York. I've been the executive director for the Learning Center of Georgina. I'm the executive director now for what, thanks to me in some ways, is the Georgina Center for Arts and Culture.
I wanted to get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, but
yeah, I mean, I've had the titles, I've done the work, I've affected change within all of those organizations.
You've got a really neat trajectory in terms of all of that, with combining the work that you've done with people in your different professions as you went along, and then the entertainment aspect, or the public aspect of it. So the way that you've meshed it all kind of is pretty neat too, because you've had
it is, because
some filling a need, some filling a want, or a desire.
Yeah, I mean, did I ever think I would find myself season 5 with Georgina Life?
Not me. I didn't think so.
No. Did I ever think I'd be sitting, as I've shared with you, on a global set, or a city TV set, or certainly several Rogers sets in Toronto?
Yeah.
Did I ever think I had anything of any real value to say? I mean, oftentimes I was there as a representative of an organization.
Right, but I know when your successes in those areas, you were there for a reason.
Yes.
So, and you will always discount them.
Well, yes, because
Like somehow you pulled it off, and you pulled the wool over their eyes and got yourself in there.
Oh, smoke and mirrors.
Right. Well, there was no smoke and mirrors. It was Grant Peckford was there because he was qualified to be there, and people wanted him there to offer what it is he had to offer.
Yeah, I made statements.
Period. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, and yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So,
and that was also a learning curve.
yeah, well,
too.
They were learning too from you.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Some people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really glad we got to that finally. We're there now. There's some value to who you are, Grant.
Yes. Oh, what the hell! I'd hate
the
to
hell?
think at this stage of my life.
So, is there anything else?